grade 7? I can't hear you. Again, good morning, grade 7. Alright, let us have a prayer first. Let us all remember that we are in the most holy presence of God. Let us pray.
Please bow your heads and let us pray. Dear Jesus, please show me how to spend this day sharing your love in every way. Help me to be kind to everyone, to play and love and have lots of fun, shining your light and giving your grace, sharing your joy with a smile on my face. Angel of God, my guardian dear, to whom God's love commits me here. Ever this day be at my side, to light and guard, to rule and guide. Amen. Liah!
Alright. How are you, grade 7 students? Are you doing fine? Alright, I am hoping to have an active participation from all of you, okay? Now, may I know who are the absentees for today's discussion? Wow, it's so good to know that all of you are present for today. Can I ask all of you to please do open your cameras so I can see your beautiful faces? Thank you so much for that. Now I can see that all of you are now ready to listen. Now let us start our discussion with some fun activity. Let's have first a motivational game entitled Guess the Gibberish. Are you ready? Okay, let us start. So here are the mechanics of the game. So in Guess the Gibberish, a user or player basically needs to guess a word or phrase. The filter shows a phrase that makes no sense at all, and the player will need to read it constantly to guess the right phrase before the timer goes off. You are about to guess some foods that I am sure all of you loves. So grade 7 students, can you please say the serve if you are served with a clear instruction? Alright, that's so good to hear. Now let's start. For our first word, we have cheeseburger. Again, cheeseburger. Guess the gibberish in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, can I ask Joylene, what's your answer? Okay, that's correct. Cheeseburger. For our next word, we have macaroni and cheese. Again, macaroni and cheese. Guess the gibberish in 3, 2, 1, go! What's the correct answer? Can I hear it from Ryan? Alright, that's macaroni and cheese. Very good. For our next food, we have pepperoni pizza. Pepperoni pizza. Guess the gibberish in 3, 2, 1, go! Alright, what's the correct answer? Can I hear it from Janella? That's correct. That's pepperoni pizza. For our next gibberish, we have chicken it's. Again, chicken it's. Guess the gibberish in 3, 2, 1, go! Elaine, what's the correct answer? Alright, that's chicken nuggets. Very good. For our next gibberish, we have potato chips. Potato chips. Guess the gibberish in 3, 2, 1, go! Okay, can I ask Jenny, what's the correct answer? Very good. That's potato chips. For our next word, we have notch, hose, and is. Notch, hose, and is. Guess the gibberish in 3, 2, 1, go! Okay, can I ask Faye what's the correct answer? Very good, that's nachos and cheese. So for our last gibberish, this is something that we are going to discuss for today's discussion. What is it? Guess the gibberish? Shamare sing. Shamare sing. Guess the gibberish in 3, 2, 1, go! Alright, can I ask Kim what's the correct answer? Alright, that's correct. It's summarizing. Our lesson for today is all about summarizing a text. So yesterday we are done discussing about research topic, right? We have cited 2 sources and explored the importance of doing a research. Now, we are into the new lesson, an interesting topic too, which is all about summarizing a text. So, for today's discussion, at the end of the lesson, we are expected to first define what is summarizing, second, apply the helpful tips and strategies in summarizing a text, and lastly, value the importance of summarizing a certain text. So, without further ado, let's begin. What is summarizing? So, summarizing is when you give a brief account of the main ideas and key events in a piece of text. A summary is short, sweet, and straight to the point. A summary does not include insignificant details. You summarize the main events of the plot. So we always have to remember that a summary is always much shorter than the original text. If summary help you understand the text, it is deemed a good summary. Summarization helps you remember the main idea and the key points of the text you are going to read. So, for us to easily summarize a certain text, here are the tips that would definitely help us in summarizing a text. So first tip is to read the entire text. So it is important for us to know deeply the whole context is. We have to remember to write a summary, a writer will gather the main ideas of an article and condense it into a central idea into a brief overview. Next tip is to look for the main idea. So looking for the main idea or the key points of the text are a big help in summarizing because these are the focus of the whole paragraph. This is our guide that would mark where we should give our attention into the text. So third helpful tip, we have take down or take notes the important details that supports the main idea. So taking note or highlighting the important details will make it easily for us to remember the details that are needed to include in summarizing. And lastly, for the fourth helpful tip, we have to use our own words. Remember that you are the author. So we can also use our own words or simplify the text we are into, and we can express it into the shorter details as we can. So grade 7 students, can you please say the serve if you are being served with a clear discussion? Alright, are you learning? Can you now summarize on your own? That's so good to hear. Now I think it's time for Story O'Clock. Do you want to explore some new story? With that, let's have the tragic myth of Orpheus and Eurydice. So just by reading its title, do you have any idea what is this story all about? Can I hear your thoughts? Yes, Jin Fei? Alright, according to Faith, this story may be about love and life. Okay, very good. That's a good point. How about the others? Can I hear it from Janela? Thank you so much for that, Janela. So she said that this story might have a sad ending because of the word tragic. So now let's see if all of your predictions are true. Let's now unlock some unfamiliar words that we are going to encounter while reading the story. So for our first word, we have lyre. Lyre is a string instrument like a small U-shaped harp with strings fixed to a crossbar. It is used especially in ancient Greece, and modern instruments of this type are found mainly in East Africa. So, just like what have been shown at the picture, it is a musical instrument in a U shape. Okay. Next word, we also have venomous. So, venomous is an adjective used to describe an animal, especially snake. Venomous is secreting venom or capable of injecting venom by means of a bite or sting. So I know all of you are familiar with this word. So venomous, this word is most likely to describe snakes who are dangerous and poisonous. So next word, we have nymph. Nymph is a noun, a mythological spirit of nature. Imagine as beautiful maiden inhabiting rivers, woods, or other locations. So, if you are not familiar with nymph, so nymphs are the beautiful women in the mythological world. So, just like what have been shown at the picture. So, this one. This is an example of nymph. Next word, we have underworld. Underworld is the mythical abode of the dead. Imagine as being under the earth. So as shown in the picture, we have Hades here, or also known as the king of the underworld. Underworld, in other words, this is where we go after death. So for the last word, we also have condemned. So condemned is an adjective meaning sentenced to a particular punishment, especially death. Okay, now that we are all aware with the unfamiliar words, let's now start the story. The tragic myth of Orpheus and Eurydice. Let's read. Orpheus was the son of Apollo, the Greek god of music and poetry. Eurydice was a beautiful nymph. Their tragic love story would tell the tale of losing someone you love and having the opportunity to get them back if you can follow one simple rule. Apollo is the Greek god of music and poetry, and he is most famously known for playing the lyre, a musical instrument made of strings and a tortoise shell. Apollo gave his son a lyre and taught him how to play. Orpheus quickly learned how to play and could play more beautifully than his father Apollo. Wherever Orpheus would play his lyre, objects would come to life and beings would come entranced by the music. Orpheus had a true talent for playing music. One day, Orpheus was in the woods playing the lyre that his father had given him. When he noticed a beautiful wood nymph named Eurydice, Eurydice had heard Orpheus playing the lyre, and she was drawn to the beautiful music. Likewise, Orpheus was drawn to the beauty of Eurydice. It was love at first sight for them. So at this point of the story, came to imagine that this one is Orpheus, just like what have been mentioned. He has a lyre here, and this one is Eurydice. So they are the main characters of the story who fell in love with each other at their first sight. You should take note of the characters, okay? Now let's continue the story. Orpheus and Eurydice were madly in love and spending all their time together, so they got married. They had a beautiful ceremony with a festive celebration afterward. Hymenaeus, the god of marriage, who blessed their matrimony, warned Orpheus and Eurydice that the harmony of their marriage would not last. However, Orpheus and Eurydice were in love and nothing seemed to be less than perfect in their relationship. Eurydice was a beautiful nymph and her beauty was apparent to more than just Orpheus. A shepherd named Aristeus had noticed Eurydice's beauty and wanted her for himself. So he hid in the bushes and waited for her. He planned to kill Orpheus and take Eurydice as his own. As Eurydice and Orpheus neared, Aristeus jumped out but was not able to kill Orpheus. Instead, Orpheus grabbed Eurydice and they began running through the woods away from Aristeus. As they ran, Aristeus chased them. Orpheus held Eurydice's hand as they ran through the woods until he felt her fall and slip out of her hands. When he turned around, Orpheus saw Eurydice had stepped on a venomous snake that had bitten her. She was dying, and Orpheus was unable to save her. Eurydice died in the woods from the venomous snake bite and descended to the underworld. Orpheus was not the same person he was after Eurydice died. He no longer enjoyed playing the lyre, and he no longer enjoyed life. Orpheus wanted Eurydice back, and he did the only thing he knew. He asked his father for help. Orpheus asked Apollo to help him to go into the underworld and retrieve his wife. Apollo went to Hades, the god of the underworld, and told him that Orpheus wanted to visit him to request the return of his wife, Eurydice. With his lyre in the hand, Orpheus made his way into the underworld and found Hades. Orpheus played his lyre and sang to Hades and those in the underworld to hear. Everyone in the underworld was moved by the beautiful song that Orpheus played for his wife. So in this part, the three characters are at the underworld as Orpheus called out everyone's attention with the use of his lyre. So let's see what will happen next. Hades agreed to let Orpheus take his wife to the upper world under one condition. Orpheus had to let Eurydice out of the underworld and could not look back at her for any reason. Hades told Orpheus that he could look at Eurydice when she finally entered the light of the underworld, but he could not look at her while she was in the dark in the underworld. Hades warned that if Orpheus turned and looked at Eurydice while she was still in the dark, she would be condemned to the underworld forever. Orpheus was overjoyed that his plan had worked and he began leading Eurydice out of the underworld. As they were nearing the upper world, Orpheus could hear the land of the living above him and could not contain his excitement. Orpheus finally entered the light in the upper world and turned around to embrace his wife. But she had not emerged from the underworld. She was still in the dark when Orpheus turned around to hug her. At that moment, Eurydice was condemned to the underworld forever. So after what had happened, it was believed that Orpheus dedicates his life to make his music better. Some says that when Orpheus died, Eurydice and him were united in the afterlife. So grade 7 students, do you enjoy the story? What do you think are the morals of the story? Okay, the moral of the Orpheus and Eurydice story is to be patient and keep on one's faith. Orpheus gives into the temptation to look because he is impatient and doesn't really believe if Eurydice was behind him. So because of that, failure of patience and faithfulness, Eurydice returned to the underworld forever. Now, I have here another version of the story or the summarized one. So it was summarized by only putting some points or important parts of the story into the plot. So let's try to read it. So for the exposition, we have Orpheus, a mortal, married Eurydice. The conflict, Eurydice went walking while Orpheus was sleeping. She then encounters a serpent that bites and killed her. Rising action, Orpheus embarked on a journey to the lair of Hades in an attempt to get Eurydice back. And then, Orpheus has arrived at the lair of Hades and encounters Cerberus. Playing his lyre, Orpheus calms down Cerberus and continued down the ugly cave to Hades with spirits of dead following him. Orpheus arrived at Hades' lair and began playing his lyre. Hades, amazed by Orpheus' skills, Hades grants Eurydice with life again. But there is a catch: if Orpheus turns around before the light shines on him, Eurydice will fade away into black dust. But alas, Orpheus turns around before the light shined on him. The ending of the story: for the rest of Orpheus' life, he dedicates his life to make his music better. He did it by filling it with emotions from the death of his wife. Some says when Orpheus died, he and Eurydice were reunited in the afterlife. So compared to the longer version of the story, this one has the character of Cerberus, which is the name of the dog of Hades. And although it also has the similar characters and ending, you can see how the author uses his own words just to summarize the story, right? So this is a great example of summarizing a text. Now let's have an activity. This activity is entitled Rainy Day Umbrella. So, since it's raining out there, all we needed to do is fill out the teardrops with the main idea from the story. So, are you ready, grade 7? Alright, you have 3 minutes to answer it on a sheet of a paper, and later on we're going to discuss your answers. Are you done answering? Okay, now let's have your teardrops in the rainy day umbrella. For the first teardrop, who wanted to share? Yes, Joylene? Alright, we have Orpheus as a musician. Very good. Next teardrop, who wanted to share? Yes, Jester? Alright, that's good. He fell in love with Eurydice. For the next teardrop, who wanted to share? I want to hear you. Yes, Janella? Alright, that's correct. Eurydice died from the snake's bite. For the fourth teardrop, we have. Alright, Orpheus begged for Hades to be with Eurydice once again. Very good. For the next teardrop, who wants to answer? Yes? Very good, Jellico. So for the next teardrop, it's correct that Eurydice and Orpheus failed to do the task that will make them to be together again. So for the last teardrop, can I hear it from Kyle? Yes, Kyle? Okay, so Orpheus played sad songs while waiting to die to be with Eurydice again. Very good, grade 7. So from what we have done, does looking for main idea helps in summarizing a text? Alright, yes, it really helps because summarizing helps an individual to understand a certain text. It eliminates the irrelevant details that makes the passage much more confusing and just focus on the central or meaningful ideas. So with the help of this, you can only tell on your own and much more shorter words that you wanted to convey. Okay, now let's go into another activity. Let's go to reflection zone. So in this reflection zone, you are only tasked to complete the paragraph by supplying with the words below. So you are going to choose the words below that will fulfill the paragraph. Kindly write your answers on a sheet of a paper and you only have at least 3 minutes to answer. 7, are you done? Okay, now let's check your answers. Be honest, okay? Reflection zone. So for today's discussion, we have learned about summarizing a text. Summarizing is when you give a brief account of the main ideas and key events in any piece of text. It does not include insignificant details, and the main idea is the most important thought in the text, and when summarizing, we use our own words because we are the author. We should always remember that summary is always straight to the point. It is always much shorter than the original text. It's really fun to do summarizing because it helps me to focus only on what are the key words that are worth remembering. Alright, who got the perfect score? Do not forget to turn in your papers later on our Google Classroom, okay? So grade 11 students, are you still learning? If yes, now let's have a recall with the tragic myth story of Reyes and Orpheus. So let's have story on board. So in here, we have this column A that contains the picture or series of events happened in the story. And on the column B, we have its narration. So you are tasked to link each number. So are you ready? You only have 3 minutes to do that, and timer starts now. Are you done answering? Okay, take your time. Now, are you done? Okay, let's now check your answers. Be honest, okay? So for number 1, we have letter D. Number 2, we have letter F. Number 3 connects with letter E. Number 4 for letter A. Number 5 for letter B. And lastly, number 6 for letter C. So later, do not forget to send out your answers. Now we are done discussing the lesson entitled Summarizing a Text. Do you enjoy learning? Okay, what did you learn today? Alright, it's nice to hear that you have learned about summarizing. Always remember, class, that summarizing is when you give a brief account of the main ideas and key events in any piece of text. A summary is short, sweet, and straight to the point. A summary does not include insignificant details, and when you summarize, you gave the main events of the plot. So for your take-home activity, we have this 5-sentence summary challenge. So this is a group activity and you should group yourselves into 5. And after reading the story or the story about the tragic myth about Orpheus and Eurydice, you have to make the story short by jotting down it into 5-sentence summary. And you can use this hand method, first, next, then, and then finally. Are you willing to take the challenge? I know you can do it. You may submit your answers on our group chat until 11:59 Friday. So with that, thank you so much class for listening and participating on our discussion. Have you enjoyed answering the activities I gave? That's so good to hear. Now let's end up our discussion with this quotation. If you can summarize an issue on one page, you don't understand the issue well enough. By Ronald Reagan. Okay, class, you may send me a message for any question, clarification, and inquiries, okay? Goodbye, grade 7! Thank you so much for listening.
I've been thinking about it.